Sprabeary, Madison Capital.
Joined here to talk a little bit about the recent trade show conference, to get a vibe from there, but also to find out what it is that Kalah does in the oil and gas sector, how she is part of that economy. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing excellent, and I'm so glad you have an opportunity to join us here today, for one, so we can find out a little bit more about Madison, but also let's talk a little bit about the oil and gas conference a little bit. Let's see if you're going to have some business this year. Let's start with that. How did the conference go overall?
Oh, it absolutely exceeded my expectations. I mean, it was my first time going, and really the quality of the vendors and the show itself was just totally exceeded my expectations. I heard this is just their third year, but really, I mean, This acted like a show that had been, around for 10 years or more.
And this was the Roseland Oil and Gas Conference?
Yes, it was. And I have to say, Jeff and Miranda did a great job. I mean, they came out, they were personable, they were asking you if you needed anything, and they were really involved, which is always a really great thing to have.
Yeah, and the trade shows have been very interesting the last few years. A lot of people have been kind of looking at them as kind of indicators for a variety of different ways. I remember having a conversation with a few people last year. It seemed like the people that were doing really well were the employment individuals, because people were starting to get getting some work on the books, but they needed such specialized workers, and so they had to find them and then also find reliable ones and ones that understood. So it almost took like a year to find these workers. And then I was talking to somebody who they started seeing some other industries start to get some work and some activity going, and that's good, because a few years ago, it was tough to see anybody get any activity going. So it's nice to see other people start to get work. Did you hear any particular upstream, downstream, salmon stream, any sort of particular part of the industry that seemed to be doing pretty well there?
The trucking industry seemed to be really robust. I know that they're still looking for a lot of drivers, but it still seemed to be one of the top industries. And it's, let's face it, it's one of the most important industries. You've got to get everything from one point to another. And so that seemed to be really well. Another big thing was taking the equipment that we've always had and creating further innovations within that equipment was a big thing that I saw.
Yeah, big data, technology integration, that sort of thing has been really increasing at the conferences, whether it's down in Texas, up in the Bakken, or even in Denver in the Niobrara. The other thing that I noticed was we did an interview a few weeks ago with Tidwell Industries, and they're a hydrocarbon cleaning business. And I've seen a big increase either from the safety regulatory side of the cleaning or the environmental technology spill cleanup. Did you see either one of those two down there?
I believe I did. I did see some of the hydrocarbon cleaning. To be quite honest, I was still trying to get around to everyone. I still have a lot of follow-up that I'm going to need to do, but yeah, there was a lot of everything. It was a very great mixed conference. There wasn't a huge concentration of one area, so it made a lot of impressions along the way.
And now, were you guys positioned there? Did you have a booth there, or were you just going there to kind of get a vibe for the show? What involvement did you and your company have?
Originally I was just going to come down, check it out, see if we might want to do a booth next year, because I wasn't quite sure. And then I talked to Jeff, and he said they still had a few booths available, so I jumped in, and I'm so glad I did. So yeah, we had a little 10x10 booth, but it was perfect, just for us to be able to talk to people. I can't even count how many business cards I have. It was I don't know, it really exceeded my expectations.
Of course, we were talking about the Roseland Oil and Gas Conference, and so let's talk about your company a little bit. You got all these business cards. First of all, talk about your company, what it is you guys do.
Yeah, Madison Capital is an equipment and vehicle financing company. We're actually a direct lender, not a brokerage. So we work with companies from your service companies all the way to vendors, manufacturers, to help them attain and sell the equipment and vehicles that they need for their operation.
Kalah Sprabeary with Madison Capital on the line with us here, and you mentioned these business cards. Kind of a direct question, I guess. Who is your customer? I imagine anybody looking to get into the oil and gas market through finances. But do you guys have like a pre-qualification or certain specific people that you are looking for?
Yeah, we do. Madison Capital has been around for 43 years, and they've really created what they call their core client, and that consists of businesses that have been in business at least 1 year. We really like 2 years, so we want those good foundational companies. We work with A and B credit, and then also coming in companies that are just looking to grow. We want companies that are looking to grow, expand their market share, and really develop their company. So that's kind of the basis of what we look for.
I imagine it's pretty interesting over the last few years. I've talked to a number of different CEOs, whether it be from, like a Harold Hamm from Continental or John Gibson from One Oak, who's on the natural gas side of things. I'm not saying those names to name drop. I'm saying them because they're leaders in the industry. And they've mentioned or flat out told me in interviews they're rewriting their business plans. And when you rewrite your business plan in the oil and gas world, a lot of other industries have to rewrite their business plans too, eventually, if not today, tomorrow, or the next day. If you guys are loaning money and getting involved in the finance side of things, I can imagine that it has been, the last 5 years have been very, very interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were big up until 15. Everything dropped out, especially in the oil and gas sector, and it's a rebuilding time. And a lot of those companies downsize their equipment and their fleets, and they're coming back and they're rebuilding, but they're having to do it differently. The tax laws have changed, the environment's changed, the price of equipment has gone up, and, a lot of people were subsidizing with rental equipment, but rental equipment can only take you so far for so long. And what we do is we're able to come in and help people create a game plan for structured, scheduled growth.
Was there any trend that you saw that worked to your guys' advantage? I know everything is individualized and it's so hard to blanket things like this, but during the downturn, fracking sand kind of got used as an example, as a way that people were cutting costs, and when in reality, pretty much everybody except probably the railroad sharpened their pencil. We're entering a new age of oil. A lot of people have downsized or right-sized, if you will. We're still hovering around prices to where they are. The global economy is starting to happen more and more, whether Continental's shipping out oil to China or China is investing in West Virginia's energy infrastructure. Are you seeing anything there when it comes to kind of as we right-size things? Is there any trends that you're seeing from your perspective towards the financing as we move forward in the oil and gas industry?
Well, I mean, PE has always been a big thing in the oil and gas sector, and PE has had to change their margins some. Banks have had to tighten up, and so people are looking for those different options, and I feel like we're one of those options that they can look at, and they can have flexibility to actually operate their company. They need things that are not tying up their AR, not tying up or blanketing them where they're having trouble getting operational loans. So they really need diversification in the financial sector to keep things balanced.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. In fact, I'm kind of looking at your LinkedIn page right now. I pulled it up, and you're specializing in fleet management, truck, construction, oil and gas, and medical. And I'm looking at fleet management and trucking, and my word, just that industry alone. You mentioned it earlier, how important trucking is. I used to say all the time, and I still do, trucking is the backbone of the economy. I mean, so many different things are moving around because of trucking, and their world is changing, whether it be from the Cummins engines that they're trying to get in there that are new and innovative, or the liquid natural gas they're trying to integrate in. I mean, the whole fleet management, and that's without even getting the logistics, into the big data into trucking that's coming into it here. I just see where what you're talking about is so important because we are living in a world where changes are happening, and the changes are happening, they require a fluid amount of money. Am I making any sense, or am I just talking gobbledygook?
No, absolutely. I completely understand. I mean, we're coming into also, when you're looking into trucking and logistics, we've got the e-logs. And love them, hate them, my opinion is mixed on that. It is here, and I talk to a lot of companies that are having to make those switches and integrate that into their fleets. And drivers are harder to get a hold of and harder to keep. So what they also need to be looking at, I saw a great article on LinkedIn the other day, was the quality of life that the truckers are getting to have. I mean, I even saw some that hadn't drank any water all day just so they didn't have to stop because they couldn't stop to be able to hit their schedules. And, people are going to have to see that quality of life for these trucking professionals is a big deal. And part of that is the truck that they're in. And those nicer trucks, to give them that quality life, they just keep going up. And so we've got to find a way to balance all of that to make this sustainable.
Kind of winding down a little bit here. Last couple questions. I'll ask you one that I ask a lot of people in the oil and gas industry, because I imagine in the finance world or trucking world or even logistics world, it's fairly relevant, which is there's a technology barrier that is difficult for not only a certain age demographic to bring in, but also a certain business level, because when you're used to doing business a certain way, it's very difficult to look at doing business a new way, especially one that's going to cost some money that is there. Most of the return is in theory. And so until some of these science projects like, the gas gathering things in oil and gas are proven, it's difficult for a lot of these things to happen. And in your world, I could see where that has been a conversation a few times. How do you satisfy, or how do you make somebody a little bit more advantageous to taking a look at some of these new technologies and integrating the cost and that sort of thing into getting to that next level that we are currently living in right now?
Yeah, absolutely. What we're able to do is take the cost of that technology and marry it into the equipment that you're going to be using it. Like we can take an e-log system and put that in with the truck into one financial package. So it makes it affordable to just integrate it with it. You're not having to go out and spend extra cash on it. Something that I saw there that I really wanted to mention that marries this together is this wellsite.com. They create these smart trailers. And I just loved this concept because they take kind of like the Amazon Echo, that where you can just talk to it and it can order things. They have it completely integrated through the Internet of Things and can create a well site trailer that is a smart trailer. I mean, it just completely blew me away. I'm still looking into it, but it's wellsite.com, Chris Eli, and I really think it's going to take innovation in the oil field to the next level from a work perspective. But all the way around, we have so many possibilities here that are becoming integrated. And I'm trying to work with a lot of these vendors and reach out to them that are putting this technology into the equipment that we already use to create it's a new concept. And I really want to help them be able to get that out to their clients and make it accessible. That's the biggest thing that we like to do at Madison, is to make the equipment and the technology accessible to companies large and small.
Well, I think it's a very interesting time we're living in because, a lot of the people that are kind of in power and in their last decade of their careers, that sort of thing, they grew up with, you wash your car on Saturday, dinner's at 5:30. It was a very well-oiled machine of a economy and society, and a lot's changed, whether it be, dinner is no longer at 5:30. It's all kinds, because we got people working 24 hours a day and just the world's changed, whether it be from the wired side, the technology side, or just from the different cultures that have bled into this melting pot of America. So I think it's interesting times we're living in. Kind of final questions here a little bit. Just anything we forgot to mention, anything you want to reiterate. I love to give guests the last word. That way a question's not framed by me. They can take it whatever direction they want. And also make sure you plug your websites or anything, because people might want to follow up this interview and have some questions with you, that sort of thing. So we like the guests to be able to give out their information, a good kind of a plug, if you will, for your business, to thank you for the time today. And so final question, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, Madison Capital, basically, we're here to give you options. We want to help you build your business, take it to the next level, and to do it in a sustainable way that's going to benefit you long term. I want you to check us out at madisoncapital.com, and my LinkedIn is Kalah Sprabeary, KALAHSPRABEARY. And I'd really like to get in touch with service companies and companies that are looking to grow their business, but also vendors and manufacturers. I want to talk to you. I want to help you get your equipment out to your clients with options that you may not have had before. So I'm a really accessible person. The cell phone in the car is my office, and I want to talk to you.